So today we're going to look a little closer at AR verbs and how we change them in Espanol. We're just going to focus on the singular AR verbs today. So nouns and pronouns in English can force a verb to change. Let me show you how this works. So notice how the verb changes here. I am, you are, he or she is. Okay, each of these are different verbs in Spanish. Or in English, excuse me. And then again, I run, you run, she runs. Notice how it changes. So we do the exact same thing in Spanish. Verbs have to change to match the person that's doing the action, or this could be a thing as well. This is what's called conjugation. And you're like, what, conjugation? It's just a fancy word we use in foreign language that means basically verbs changing to match a noun or pronoun, okay? So you're probably wondering, well, so what? Why do I need to do that? Because we've been doing sentences like this, me gusta nadar, I like to swim. Well, and that's fine, but sometimes you want to say something a little different, like I swim, okay? So most of us would think, oh, I can just say yo nadar, I swim, right? But nadar means to swim. So if you say that, what you're really telling someone is I too swim. So we need to do something to this verb first before I can make that sentence work. So this is what we do in Espanol. We change it. We get rid of the last two letters, the AR ending, and then we put something different on here. Okay, so we use O for yo. So every time you want to say I do something, the verb is going to have an O on the end. So this sentence, yo nado, now means I swim. Okay, that's what conjugation is. So let's review our Spanish pronouns that we learned the other day, just so that we have those fresh in our minds. Yo is I. Tú would be a casual you for friends and family. Usted is the more formal one for people who are older than me or in a position of respect. Él, he, and ella, she. So you can also use proper nouns, like you could use a boy's name here instead, or a girl's name here if you wanted to. It would work the same way. So how do I conjugate? Well, there's certain steps that you can do. Step one, figure out what your stem is. And you're like, what? Stem? Are we talking about trees or plants here? No, it's just this is what we call what's left over when you take off the AR. So that's the one thing that all these verbs have in common is they end in AR, which is why we call them AR verbs. So once you take that off, then you're left with your stem or your root of the verb. So the stem of hablar would be habl. So it's everything minus the AR. The stem of cantar would be cant. The stem of nadar would be nad. You see how this is working? The stem of bailar is bail. Okay, so it's everything minus the AR. That's what's left over. Now, the next step, step two, is then you look at your pronoun. Okay, so it's one of these options, yo, tú, usted, él, or ella. So I look at my pronoun, and that's going to tell me which ending I have to put on next. So I pick the ending that matches. For yo, I'm going to add o. For tú, I'm going to add as or as. For usted, notice that the ending is different than tú. And I think they do this in Espanol because they want to be able to distinguish between a more casual conversation or question and a more formal one. Okay? Because usted is somebody you don't know as well. And that's probably why they want to differentiate that. But notice how usted has the same ending as él or ella. So there's only three endings that we use for singular verbs or for singular pronouns and verbs, okay? So let's say I want to say I sing. So I start off with my verb cantar. I get rid of my AR, so I'm left over with my stem cant. My pronoun is yo, because that means I. I put on the ending o, and now it becomes yo canto. I sing. Okay, so let's do a few practices together. Okay, so we've got yo hablo español. Okay, the verb is hablar, means I speak or I talk. I get rid of my AR, since it's yo, the ending I would put on the end would be o. Yo hablo. Tú cantas bien. This means you sing well. The verb is cantar. I get rid of my AR. I'm left with C-A-N-T as my stem. And because the pronoun is tú, that means I'm going to choose the AS ending. Tú cantas. So these two kind of match. They go together. Ana nada en el océano. Okay. Now I could also replace the name Anna with ella. Either way, it makes the same sense. This is just a little more specific. Here it's a girl's name and here it's she. But the ending is exactly the same. I get rid of my AR for nadar. I'm left with NAD as my stem, and I put the letter A on the end for Ana. Okay, en el océano. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, what if it's masculine? Do I change it to an O? Well, verbs don't care about your gender. They work with everyone. So in this sentence here we have Paco. Okay, Paco is a muchacho. I could also use él if I wanted to replace Paco with he. But notice how it's still the A ending. Okay, I get rid of the AR. I'm left with M-O-N-T. And I put the letter A on the end since it's one person. Paco monta en bici. So I don't need to change this to an O. Verbs don't care about gender. Okay, they work the same whether it's Ana or Paco. Okay, so it's still going to be the A ending for both. Okay? All right, bien. So we're going to be doing some different actividades today in class and on Canvas to help us practice this and get a little more confident with it. Adios.